Titei maluchtuch, nichwe shebianuch, kamad bashmaya kimbara.
When I speak about Jesus, I am not talking about the myth that was built in temples or the fantasy that Rome sculpted into a religion. I am talking about a real man who carried the great life within him, a man who healed people not for glory but because he could not stand to see anyone suffer. He loved without limit. He saw people as they truly were, even the broken ones, and he lifted them up. He defended the condemned, he stood between the mob and the accused, and he refused to let them harm anyone while he lived. That is the Jesus I know. That is the Jesus I love. He was not just kind, he was brave. He faced every system of cruelty with truth on his tongue. He had a light that burned through hypocrisy. He was full of Hayi Rabbah, the great life, and that current of life moved through him like water through the veins of the world. When he touched someone, he gave them more than healing. He gave them the memory of who they were before they were hurt by this world. And they killed him for it. Imagine that. A man who would rather feed the hungry than praise a king, who would rather wash your feet than command your loyalty. A man who loved every soul he met and taught people to forgive instead of condemn. And for this, they slaughtered him like an animal. The most compassionate man who ever lived, executed by the very empire whose cruelty he exposed. And before him, they killed John. John the Great. The baptizer. The teacher of the river. The man who called out the liars, the politicians, the priests, and the manipulators. John looked them in the eyes and told them exactly what they were: deceivers, hypocrites, enslavers of the human spirit. They could not handle that truth, so they silenced him too. Both of them were Nasoraeans, teachers of light, sons of the river, men who walked in the current of the great life. Jesus said, "I came forth from the Father." He meant Hayi Rabbah, not the monstrous deity of the Torah. That God of slaughter and sacrifice has nothing to do with the one Jesus called Father. Jesus' Father was not HWH. His Father was the great life, the uncreated source that flows through all things. Jesus and John taught awakening, not religion. They never preached hellfire or eternal punishment. Those lies came later, from people who wanted to rule, not to free. The hell doctrine is seleucid poison, a weapon for control, nothing more. Jesus knew people made mistakes. He knew weakness. He saw through sin as a concept. He said to the woman accused of adultery, "Where are your accusers? Neither do I accuse you. Go and do not let them destroy you again." That was his meaning, not condemnation, but protection. Jesus was not a rabbi of law or a priest of blood. He was a man of the river, of light, of love. He did not want titles. He said, "Why do you call me Lord? I am your friend." He meant it. He hated hierarchy. He wanted equality, brotherhood, compassion. He gave all he had and asked for nothing. People came to him just to use him, to eat the bread, to see the miracles, to take what he offered without ever giving back. And yet he loved them anyway. He felt sorrow when they left him. He asked, "Will you also go away?" He was human. He felt what we feel when we pour love into others and receive betrayal in return. They turned him into a cartoon messiah, a figure for empires to wave as a banner while they murder in his name. Rome took a man of peace and made him a symbol of conquest. They erased his real message, that love is the law, that compassion is the only truth, that the great life flows through every living being, and that the river is the path to freedom. Jesus was not Jewish. He was not part of the temple cult. He was a Nasoraean, a teacher of water and light. The empire twisted his lineage, his identity, his words, everything he stood for. They made him serve the same God he defied. They turned the greatest human being who ever lived into a mascot for the empire that murdered him. John never abandoned him. Even when Jesus was captured, even when he was beaten and crucified, John was there, alive and silent, powerless to stop what he saw but never turning away. According to Josephus, John lived beyond that day. He bore witness to it. He carried the grief of the river. And maybe Mary Magdalene was his wife. Maybe not. But if she was, it makes no difference. What matters is that he loved deeply. He loved humanity. He loved the great life. He loved the truth. He was the friend who would stand in front of you when the crowd wanted to destroy you. He was the voice that said you were worthy when everyone else said you were not. He was the one who carried the great life in his breath. They killed love itself when they killed him. They killed the voice that reminded us who we are. And then they blamed God, saying it was all part of the plan. No, it was not a plan. It was a crime. A crime against compassion, a crime against life, a crime against the river that still flows today. Jesus never wanted worship. He wanted people to wake up. He wanted them to feel what he felt, the living current of Hayi Rabbah moving through their being. The same light he carried is in you, in everyone. It never died. It flows still, waiting for you to remember. And the world still does not understand. They still choose cruelty over compassion, empire over truth, ritual over love. But the current has not stopped. It keeps moving, calling to anyone who will listen. The river is still here. The great life is still here. The love of Jesus and John is still here. If you wish to follow them, do not worship them. Love as they loved. Defend the weak. Speak truth. Stand in the water. Let the great life move through you. That is the gospel they lived. They did not die for sin. They died for love. And that love is eternal. Veritas lux mea, Sharara be Nura.
Veritas lux mea, truth is my light. Be wise as a serpent.